aggressive deck in this format that would be much, much faster and much, much more consistent at doing the I'm going to get you from 20 to 0 thing as quickly as I can. Clearly not what they were optimizing for with this build.
Yeah, not the goal. Not the goal.
The goal is to beat Naya Runes and have enough game against everything else. And right now, we're finding out what it looks like against everything else, because this is the first time, at least for you and I, said that we get to see two of the decks that were designed to beat Naya Runes facing each other. No Naya Runes to be seen.
Looks like we're going to see a little Fleeting Spirit beatdown here. Okay.
That's right. Triumphant Adventurer could block. It has Death Touch. It has First Strike as long as it's Kai's turn. So this is just a trade as it sits, meaning that Jonny can decide to discard a card to save it, but that wouldn't really make much sense at this point. So he's going to go ahead and let it go. And there's Elite Spellbinder to follow up here for Jonny.
This is interesting.
That's a lot of action in hand there for Kai.
Yeah, so I meant my interest level here is, are we supposed to like snipe this Emiria's Call?
Interesting. Basically take a land.
Yeah, maybe try to get a little, I don't want to say fortunate-ish, but the only reason I don't love this is because Kai does have other plays, right? He's got 2 Graveyard Trespassers with the 3rd land, or you could just take a Lisa and say that's never going to work itself into the equation this game because it's going to cost 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So looks like that's probably a safer thing to take. That thing's really hard to beat anyway.
Nadar Selfless Paladin, nice top deck there for Kai. He's going to run that out right now. Let's go into that dungeon again. Snaps off Lost Mana Phandelver once again. That's going to give him that scry. You know, that makes a lot of sense to me because that's the one that gives you the immediate payoff, right? You get a scry one right away. And, you know, when you're digging around for lands or you need to find certain answers, that's what you want. And then you can worry about the rest later.
Yeah, you get to go to the cave's entrance. Yes. Look, baby, if we're going to venture through the dungeon, we're going to venture through the dungeon.
I love it. I'm here for the storeroom, the cave's entrance.
That's right. We'll see what room we're going to go into next.
It could be anything.
Here we go.
He does have 2 options here on this next one.
Ah, yes, the Goblin Lair of the Mine Tunnels.
Yes.
Mine Tunnels is actually of interest. A little mana.
Not too bad. And when you have as much action as he has in his hand here with the Connoisseur, the Trespasser, another Trespasser, and then, yeah, maybe even down the line, Emiria's Call or the Lisa Forgotten Archangel. Yeah, having that treasure token's big game.
And now here's this busted card. This card's so good.
This card's busted. I think you're exactly right. One of these Wandering Emperors is going to have to get discarded. That's about the best you're going to get from Jonny's perspective because, well, it's redundant anyway, but like, come on.
It's also worth noting too, this is like a kind of a minor thing. It's you see the Wandering Emperor join the fray at the end step, but Nadar having Vigilance is actually pretty relevant there, so Wandering Emperor can't keep that thing alive. So small little keywords playing a big role over the course of this game.
It's funny, they're talking about it as the best hill giant of all time, the City Stalker Connoisseur, but you know, there's other column hill giants, you know, 3 mana, 3/3s for 4 mana in this format. In fact, in these decks that are right up there with it as well, they've really kind of pushed that little narrow niche of card, the 4 mana 3/3, quite hard here. You know, with Inquisitor Captain also being a big part of the puzzle on the other side. Here comes the Guardian Evangel. This is a great turn 4 play as you get another one and you get to usually tap down your opponent's team so that they're not able to block. That'll net an extra couple of damage.
This is my kind of card if I was playing mono white. I understand why why versions aren't playing 4 copies. Again, in specific metagames, like I was talking about, if you were just balls to the wall aggro, I think you play 4 copies of this card, but because you're playing a more of a mid-rangey style, you're only going to play maybe 1 or 2 copies. All the same, it's still quite good here as to tap those 2 creatures and is allowing for a pretty healthy attack while also adding to your battlefield. So that's a nice turn there for Jonny.
Yeah, and how about running it back again too, right? I mean, there's some real nonsense here. If you find another copy of Sigardian Evangel, to just, you know, I've seen people just chain them. You know, if you just have a couple of them naturally, you go off. Okay, Triumphant Adventurer off the top here for Kai. He's facing down a heck of a lot of power.
And he's just going to continue, I think, to struggle in combat because of the Wandering Emperor and the +1/+1 counter plus first strike. So this game, I think Kai may have to try to play a little sub game action and say, hey, I need to get the Wandering Emperor off of the battlefield so I can actually engage in combat in a meaningful way. And well, there you see it. Oh, hang on.
Nope.
Dark Pool or
Fun Guy Cavern?
Yeah. So I feel like right now, I feel like I'm in an episode of Legend of the Hidden Temple, fan favorite show of mine on Nickelodeon. Just like you can play OMAC if you want, and I'm like the Silver Snakes, and I'm just trying to work my way to the treasure right now.
Okay.
The treasure is killing the Wander Emperor, and we haven't gotten there quite yet.
I believe everything that you just.
I hate that you don't know this show.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh!
Literally no clue what you're talking about.
You need to go on YouTube later. It is one of the best shows of our generation, my friend.
Okay, so not right now.
No, not in this exact moment, but okay. Come on.
But later. All right, so here comes Graveyard Trespasser. And there's plenty of food in the yard there for that guy. And then the follow-up Triumphant Adventure. Now, this did cost Kai some action. He had to pay 3 life and play the Emeria from his hand to maintain that treasure token. It looks like he's got his eyes on Lisa for a little bit later. Forgotten Archangel can be a great type of spell to kind of clean up the mess on the battlefield, but he's still a mana away from being able to cast it.
All right, so we're going to kick things off with a land.
Chat says Marshall didn't have a TV as a kid.
Look, it's tough. I wasn't gonna point the attention that way.
What's wrong with the radio? You know, you use your imagination.
That's what these Zoomers don't have anymore is imagination. It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Triumphant Adventurer and Graveyard Trespasser staring down Elite Spellbinder and a Samurai that's had better days, but also the Wandering Emperor. Oh, look at this. Faceless Haven getting fired up, and now we're going to see the Wandering Emperor activation as well.
Okay.
To put some business on the battlefield here. This is a big attack. It's for 7 damage on a player who's at 9, and the Faceless Haven doesn't... There's no good interaction here.
No, first strike, 4/4. Don't forget about the Valorous stance that's kind of hanging out there as well, too. So Jonny is pretty well protected. I gotta say, in this exact moment, especially because he has the Planeswalker and Kai doesn't, I think it's advantaged Jonny a little bit here as he's trying to cross the finish line. Ooh, boy.
Okay. So this plan would theoretically work if a land came off the top, but Valorous Stance probably means that's not a thing?
Probably. Because you are getting a transformation into Graveyard Glutton. So maybe some life gains on the way, maybe. I'm not sure how much that matters.
Yeah, that could definitely matter, for sure. Like, it means that the Elite Spellbinder isn't lethal on its own unless the Emperor puts a counter on it. Going from 2 life to 4. Also, the 4/4 very relevant here, as it means that if it does connect with the Wandering Emperor, that it is enough to take it out. So Kai's forced to just go for these creatures here. This will be a drain for 2, 14 for Jonny, and up to 4 for Kai. And an interesting decision here from Jonny. Does he use Valorous Stance? Does he chump block? He chump blocks.
Okay.
He knows about Lisa, remember. He's the one that put that into that kind of tax zone.
So now you're just all in casting this.
Yes, and the question is it lethal? And the answer is yes, right? Because he can come up with 2 4-powered creatures. Remember, the Haven already has a counter on it from before, right?
Yep.
So that should do it.
Yeah, so Wandering Emperor should just put this +1/+1 counter on the Elite Spellbinder, and it should just be a wrap now.
Yeah, it's just a wrap even just with the 1 creature. So there you go. Game number 2. A nice win there for Jonny, taking down Kai Budde and forcing a game 3. These have been really good games between these two. This matchup seems close, right? You and I maybe got a little used to seeing kind of lopsided matchups, but this one's actually kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, we have been running into some lopsided matchups thus far in the matches that we have covered, but we got some good back and forth here. kind of creature-centric-esque matchups with Kai getting a little bit of value as he ventures through dungeons, and Jonny just trying to pressure Kai and hoping that his draw doesn't come together all that well. The biggest difference here, I would say, is that in this particular game, Kai will be on the play, so ideally for him, playing on the front foot more so than the back foot.
Really curious to see how this plays out. As is characteristic these days for most, even monocolor decks with an assertive game plan like what Jonny's playing, they're way more resilient than you'd think, right? These aren't the type of, these games don't play out where they're like, here's my stuff. Oh, you killed it all. Okay, well, we'll just play another game. It's like every card is card advantage. Everything has a different angle to it that can produce longer term stuff. Even if you're playing like mono white, you know, we've seen this out of mono green. There's a time in standard where mono green was the best card draw deck. Like, you know, these decks don't run out of gas. Running out of gas in modern day Magic is a rarity.
Yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. It's just more so as, you know, is the thing that I'm doing better than the thing that you're doing? I think that's the question more often than not. Kai, not up to it. That's not a great hand there. Well, Jonny's hand I like actually quite a bit.
It's an actual one-lander there for Kai. Like, it's hard to get that. He has so many spell lands in this deck, but he managed to find it.
Yeah, I'm going to assume he's going to send it. Okay, this is
oof. That's a slow keep right there.
It is slow. I do think he's going to keep it. I do think he's going to keep it, and I'm not sure what card he's going to put back. I'm going to assume some sort of land here.
It's got to be better than a 5-ball.
Yeah.
But if your first play comes down on turn 3, you know, you're okay, but sometimes you can get behind in those situations and all of a sudden they're like apparition hit you and you're like play a thing and they're like apparition again hit you and then the GG.
Yeah, I would feel a lot more concerned for Kai if he was on the draw.
Yeah,
I'm just getting run down. The fact that he's on the play, I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, what do you think about Jonny's opener here? He's got Fleeting Spirit, Elite Spellbinder, Thalia, and Wandering Emperor with 3 lands.
Yeah, and one of those lands is a Faceless Haven as well. So, you know, he's got things to do over the course of the early and middle stages of the game. As you know, he doesn't want to get himself deep into the late game, but you know, he's got some resources here that are really nice to like.
Interesting to see that removal spell on top there for Kai. He put it on the bottom. Exile target monocolor permanent. I mean, that hits everything. But he wasn't interested. A little awkward there for Jonny. He draws his 1-drop now, but nevertheless, he can continue to curve out by starting things off with a 2 of his choice, Fleeting Spirit for max power, or if he feels that it's worth disrupting, he can play Thalia, and that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, oddly enough, the Thalia play is one that I don't think Kai cares about even a little bit because his hand is entirely creature-based. So it's like, okay, so you played a 2/1 into my deck that has like a lot of 3/3s and stuff like that, as we are in the caves entrance. But more importantly, you know, this Thalia really can't meaningfully attack, and it's a bit of a non-bow with the Wandering Emperor. So, yikes.
5-mana Wandering Emperor in hand now for Jonny, excuse me. He's going to play Elite Spellbinder and take a look at what's going on. Last time he saw Lisa Forgotten Archangel, and he said, you know what, let's just set that one aside for now. Will that be the case here? That looks like he might have some cheaper options to hit at this point.
And you see the Graveyard Trespasser, the City Stalker Connoisseur. There is no 4th land yet, but, you know, draw a card every single turn, so it could be coming. And then Bloodchief's Thirst, less important, I'd say, than everything else that's going on here. But, you know, Elite Spellbinder is so powerful, 1, because you get to take a card, but 2, the information that you get to work with as well, knowing what's coming and what you need to try to play around.
Kai has Bloodchief's Thirst that he could deploy here. Looks like he wants to get deeper into the dungeon. Mind tunnel it up.
I think it might be time to do some tunneling.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. That's going to help him get out of this mana situation. Jonny's had enough of the dungeon nonsense. He's going to snap off a block there. But City Stalker Connoisseur, one of the best cards in the format, is going to hit the battlefield. And this is just huge. It takes away the option of the Wandering Emperor down the line here. And that blood token could come in very handy for Kai as well.
So this is actually really interesting. So that City Stalker Connoisseur comes down, and of course it takes the most expensive card in the opponent's hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if Kai had the option to go, I'd like to take a look at your hand and pick a card.
Mm-hmm.
He may have wanted to do that because the Wandering Emperor is still another turn away because of the Thalia. So
Mm-hmm.
if he had the option of just like look at your hand, select a card, I'm not convinced he would take the Wandering Emperor because at the time he cast the Connoisseur, Johnny only had 3 mana.
Mm.
So it's actually just kind of interesting that yes, City Stalker Connoisseur is awesome, and taking the most expensive card is awesome, but maybe in that instance he would have gone, I don't know, I'll take Adeline, or something like that.
Sure.
Maybe it would have been different. We'll never know.
Yeah, that's why that card's not good, because you don't get
Yeah.
All right, here comes 2 Fleeting Spirits into the zone, which is red. There's City Stalker Connoisseur and Graveyard Trespasser both at the ready. And Kai is going to say, all right, City Stalker Connoisseur, you did your job.
Yep, took a
Trade
card,
off one
killed
of
a card.
those.
Yep.
Fleeting Spirit down. The other one does get in for 3 down to 18, goes Kai. And there's Elite Spellbinder number 2. These things get really annoying when they pile up. You can end up with a bunch of cards exiled to it that you can't pay for. He has to decide whether to try to protect his creatures, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to put a tax on Blood Chief's Thirst. Geez, it costs 4 now?
Yeah.
It's double taxed.
Yeah, that's a lot of work on that card to kill
It
something.
really kind of got him coming and going on that one. 4 mana Blood Chief.
They'd never rebalance it to that, so.
No. There's a land off top of the library here for Budde. Kai is taking his normal, pretty methodical approach here. He's, just under 9 minutes to go. He's got plenty of time to finish off this game, but he's a careful player. This is a lesson you can learn by watching Kai. Even somebody who's had the success he has and has played as long as he has still will take his time to make sure that each play is exactly how he wants it to go. Some people play a little bit more by feel, they kind of more intuitive play. Kai's kind of right in the middle for me. He has that aspect as well, where the way I've seen him kind of break down his plays is that he already knows what he's going to do, but then he walks through the options and just makes sure that there's nothing better before committing to it.
I would agree. He's going to make an attack here. Okay.
He's going to humph up one of these Fleeting Spirits.
Get a little life there.
Looks like he's okay with the trade either way on the Spellbinder, or just get in.
This is, well, okay. So you don't have to play around the Wandering Emperor if you're Johnny because of the Thalia, and you already know one card in hand is a Triumphant Adventurer. So let's see what's going to get discarded. He's going to discard a land.
Yeah, he probably figures he's got the Triumphant Adventurer at the worst here. Yeah.
Okay.
Make that 2 of them.
Yep.
Ooh, Skyclave Apparition there for John.
I got a feeling that's a good draw.
That does look very nice at this juncture. Really good hand here for Johnny. He can deploy all of his hand, a 3-drop and a 1-drop if he'd like. He can choose between Adeline and Skyclave Apparition, plus Hopeful Initiate.
Yeah, double spelling right now is pretty darn nice. Do you want to take care of, Apparition can come down. If it does, what does it want to take care of? It can take care of Triumphant Adventure and clear the road for these creatures, and they'd attack for 8 and make it it would be attack for 8 and play Hopeful Initiate post combat if you want, or you can take care of the Trespasser, I suppose. Depends on how troublesome you think that is, or you can go this route, which is Adeline, which is going to make a 1/1, which is still totally fine when you're up against a 2/1, and just serve on in here.
Not a lot of blocking going on here for Kai. He just has the 1 Triumphant Adventurer left over. So it looks like best he can do is trade off for the 3/1 there and still take a pretty good hit down to 13. And Adeline's kind of rocking and rolling now.
I think Johnny's best draw, is going to be Connoisseur, and he didn't find that. Now, there is still a Blood Chief's Thirst to be cast.
Right.
So you still do have a removal spell in the holster if you're Kai, but it's starting to get a little bit worrisome. And Kai doesn't even know about the Skyclave Apparition that's hanging out over here.
Well, Kai's going to just play another Triumphant Adventurer, hoping to be able to trade it off for perhaps Adeline Resplendent Cathar or something along those lines.
I think you got to play this cave before you play the apparition. If you're going to kill Trespasser, maybe not. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, going to kill the Adventurer.
Adventurer down, and in comes the team.
Yep.
Adeline's a 7/4 now.
Yeah, yep. So you got no good blocks on it. You know your opponent has no cards in hand, and so I guess what's Kai's best draw step? Does it even exist?
And he is actually forced to chump here, is he not? If he blocks the 2/3, he takes lethal.
Quick math. You block the 2/3, you take 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This card doesn't have lifelink. Yeah, so now you're just getting flattened. Everything's
just getting absolutely wrecked here.
Yep.
Kai Budde finds City Stalker Connoisseur, and he's going to concede. Jonny Guttman, nice win there, taking down Kai Budde here in the 3rd round of the tournament. That is the clean sweep for Alchemy there.